Hi everyone, welcome to our third and final lesson in Picowaxen's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm Mr. Patterson, your school psychologist. I'm joined today by Mr. Marchioni and Miss Truesdale, our school counselors. As I said, it's our third lesson. We spoke to you before about anxiety, last week on childhood trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. Today, we're going to be talking to you about depression and suicide prevention. Today and all week, we've been encouraging you guys to wear green and yellow in order to bring attention or awareness to these very important topics. The COVID pandemic has been very, very stressful for everyone, including teenagers, adolescents. You guys have had significant disruptions in your routines with remote learning, canceled sports and activities, as well as having ongoing concerns about the COVID virus itself. And I think that this topic is a really important topic because it's coming up on just about a year since we have had our lives kind of turned on end and things changed. So, Mr. Marchioni, do you want to move forward to the next slide? So today, what we hope to accomplish on our lesson objective is for you guys to learn about depression and suicide prevention. We're going to cover facts, we're going to cover warning signs and symptoms, what to do and where to go for help if you or someone you know is showing signs of depression or having thoughts about suicide. And another important thing we're going to talk to you about, we're going to talk to you about coping skills and also healthy habits, both of which are things that can be really helpful to us in counteracting some of the things that we're going to be talking to you about today. One thing I do want to note before we get started on our presentation, what you're about to see may be upsetting to some people, and it might make you feel uncomfortable. That's okay. If it does, if you need to take a break, or if this topic is too difficult for you, it's okay to step away. And if you need to, please reach out to us after the presentation. Thanks.
Depression. Its definition, it's also known as a major depressive disorder or clinical depression, is a common but serious mood disorder. It can cause some very severe symptoms that affect how you feel, think, and handle your daily activities, such as sleeping, eating, or working, and hanging out with your peers. To be diagnosed with depression, the symptoms must have been present for at least 2 weeks. Here are some facts about depression. It affects about 20% of our young people. Because normal behaviors vary from one childhood stage to another, it can be hard to tell whether a young person is going through a temporary phase or is suffering from depression, especially during our middle school years. They're the toughest to figure out. Depression in young people does not have one single cause. It's not just because of a breakup, but rather has several psychological, biological, and environmental risk factors in place. Early identification is a key factor in finding supports for students who have developed depression. Treatment for students with depression can have a significantly positive effect on how well that student functions with peers, family, and at school. In the United States, depression is the leading cause of disability for people over 5 years of age. Warning signs. Those who have developed depression may start performing poorly in school, substance abuse, showing signs of suicidal thoughts or actions. They may be withdrawing from friends and activities. They may stop coming to school, show a lack of enthusiasm or having energy or motivation to get things done. Depression, especially in our younger students, show an increased feelings of anger or rage because they don't know how to handle the feelings they're feeling restless or having trouble sitting still, sleeping much more, or the complete opposite, barely sleeping at all, overeating, or the opposite, not eating at all, resulting in sudden weight change. Complaining about phantom aches, random stomach aches, random headaches, may lack concentration or become forgetful. They overreact to criticism, and they may even challenge authority. Now, that can't be misconstrued with just being a regular adolescence, because part of the middle school years, students are going to challenge some authority a little bit. So, monitoring that very carefully.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about depression symptoms, what a person is actually feeling inside. A student might, or someone with depression might feel withdrawn, feelings of sadness or hopelessness, poor self-esteem or guilt, feeling worthless, feeling helpless, thoughts of death or suicide attempts, a constant sad, anxious, or empty mood, feeling restless or agitated, a lack of enthusiasm, energy, or motivation, increased feelings of anger or rage or extreme anger, difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions, which can come into play when we're in school, whether it be virtual or at home. Difficulty sleeping, or, like Ms. Truesdale said earlier, oversleeping. Appetite changes, whether it be eating more or not eating at all. These are all symptoms of depression. Not everyone who is depressed experiences every symptom. Some experience only a couple of symptoms, while others may experience multiple symptoms that we have on this list.
Depression, what to do? What can I do if I'm depressed? Well, to start with, a great place to begin. Reach out to people that are important to you in your life, family members, your parent or guardian, maybe someone at school, perhaps your school counselor, school psychologist, an administrator with whom you feel comfortable, your teacher, maybe the PPW, school nurse. The important thing is that you reach out to somebody, even a friend, anybody who will listen. Very important. Seek help from someone. And from there are all kinds of things that can happen. In addition to that, in my mind, one of the greatest ways to work with or manage symptoms of depression, or possibly even stave off symptoms of depression, it's really important to develop positive coping skills and also healthy habits. And when I talk about healthy habits and positive coping skills, what I'm talking about are things like the types of foods that you put into your body, your diet. There's a growing body of research that talks about the link between food and mental health. It's important to drink plenty of water. It's important to be hydrated, to remain hydrated. It's also important to fuel your body with nutrient-rich food. Eat as healthy as possible. What else is an example of some healthy habits or positive coping skills? Something that's really, really important. Socialize, talk to people. A lot of research suggests that the more that you are connected, the more that you reach out, not necessarily in numbers, but in quality of relationships, the more that you are likely to stave off or manage symptoms of depression. In addition to that, we talk about the mind. So not only diet, not only socializing, but also your mind. It's really important to practice a variety of things, some of which you may have heard us talk to you about before over the years. One of which might be practicing gratitude on a daily basis, practicing relaxation or mindfulness, meditation. Learn to recognize what you've been doing well. Learn to recognize your accomplishments. Also, try and experience as many positive emotions as possible. That all the kinds of things that can help you to be at your best and flourish. What else can you do in terms of healthy habits and positive coping skills? Something else, in addition to diet and addressing your mind, you can also move. Movement. What a novel concept. Movement. Exercise regularly. And exercise doesn't mean those kinds of things that might come to your mind about like pumping iron and building this crazy sweat. Nope. Exercise can be as simple as getting outdoors, going for a walk. It's important to spend time outside, and it's important to move. Research has shown a great connection between exercise and also healthy well-being. And then lastly, you're gonna laugh when you hear me say this, at least maybe Miss Truesdell, Mr. Marchioni will. It's important to rest, sleep. Sleep is paramount, super important to our well-being. It is one of the major foundations of our well-being. And for kids your age, adolescents, 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. And there's a whole other topic we could do. We actually did one back in, I believe, May of last year, or maybe April of last year. We spoke to you about the importance of sleep. So there you have it. Now we're going to move on to another portion. We're going to take a look at a short video leading into the second portion of our presentation, which is going to be on suicide prevention. Short video entitled The Empty Seat. Mr. Marchioni, you want to take it away?
That video is leading us into the topic of suicide prevention. On the screen, you'll see a picture of another student where this student, unfortunately, had taken their own life, Nakia Venant. I'm not going to go into the details about this student. The reason we're showing you this is to show you that it happens to real students. This was someone's friend. This was someone's classmate. This was someone who may not have been showing the signs that we're going to be talking about today. Or maybe they were showing the signs and the students that she was friends with did not know the signs. So the important part of this is just showing you that people who are dealing with depression or have suicidal thoughts may not show it. It could be one of your friends. It could be a classmate. It could be someone that you know in your family that has dealt with this, with either depression or these thoughts. And our job today is to talk to you about what to look out for. And if you feel that someone is showing some of these signs, to get help. And we're going to talk about that. So Nikia was 14 and took her own life in 2017. And I'm not going to go into more detail to that. The details on the screen if you'd like to read it. This is Bryce Gowdy, was a 17-year-old Florida high school football star who took his own life in 2019. Again, going to the, I didn't mention this earlier, but looking at the very top of the screen, sometimes we think this will never happen. Maybe this will never happen to us in our group of friends or in our school, but it does happen. It happens all the time, and we need to think about that. And that's why we take this very seriously, especially as Mr. Patterson was saying earlier in this presentation, with COVID and all the things that people have been dealing with, people are having a hard time. And we might see more people that are feeling possible signs of depression or having thoughts that might be considered red flags for possible suicidal thoughts. And that's why we need to take it seriously and pay close attention to our classmates and those in our school. Lastly, we have Phoebe Prince. This was a girl who moved here from Ireland and Massachusetts and was being bullied on a regular basis to the point where she ended up taking her own life. This was a while ago, but I thought it was important to show her because, again, this is a situation where she was dealing with bullying on a regular basis. And though this is not a bullying presentation, those kind of behaviors, bullying, making fun of others, cyberbullying, have an effect on people. Just wanted to kind of show this as another real situation who, again, this girl had friends, this girl had family, and unfortunately, the pain that she was dealing with became too much for her. And we're going to talk more about that too.
Myth or fact? There's all kinds of beliefs out there about suicide, suicide prevention. One of the biggest ones, and we've included it for this reason, talking about suicide will cause someone to start thinking about it and cause that person to attempt to take their own life. So the fear being, if you talk about it, if you acknowledge it, then something bad's going to happen. Well, the reality is it's just the opposite. Not talking about it is likely to lead to bigger problems. Talking about it can relieve suicidal students and help them to get the help that's needed. Discussing the subject openly shows that you can take a person seriously and that you care. Myth or fact? Those who are suicidal really want to die, and there's no way to stop them. Another myth, and that's good news. Suicide is not really about death. It's about a mental pain. It's about mental pain and wanting that pain to go away. With help, those who are thinking about suicide can feel better, can be safe, and find solutions. Remember, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So now for some facts to counteract some of the myths that we showed you a second ago. So most suicidal individuals show warning signs of their intentions, and that's good for those of us around them. But it's important, and why we're teaching you this stuff today, it's important for us to be aware of what we're seeing, the significance of some of the warning signs, and most importantly, how to respond to them. About 60% of people who do take their own lives have had a mood disorder, such as major depression or bipolar disorder. Suicide among males is 4 times as high as the rate among females due to the means that they use. Another fact. Suicide rates have increased more than 30% in half of the states across America since 1999. So it's a topic or a reality that is on the rise. Nearly 45,000 people in the US died by suicide in 2016. That's 1 death in every 12 minutes. That means that at least 2 Americans have taken their own lives since you started watching this presentation. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for people 10 to 34 years of age. And lastly, talking about suicide does not cause someone to be suicidal.
Suicide versus self-harm. These are two different things. If someone is self-harming, does this mean they want to take their own lives? Experts state that with self-harm or non-suicidal self-injury disorder, NSSID, these self-destructive behaviors are carried out without any intention of suicide. 15% of teenagers have inflicted self-harmful behaviors on themselves. This does not mean that students who self-harm may not have thoughts of suicide, but the act of self-harm does not automatically mean this is a suicide attempt. Self-harm is a warning sign of suicidal thoughts. Many of the same warning signs. Reasons why individuals engage in self-harming behavior: to reduce negative emotions. It's to help them control it. To feel something, to feel that little bit of pain besides numbness or emptiness. Gives them a sense of control since they may feel they have no control over their lives currently. To avoid certain social situations. And they may be looking to receive social support.
Okay, now we're going to be talking about some warning signs. Okay, those who have suicidal thoughts may start talking or writing about wanting to die or kill themselves. They could be writing things like, I'm going to kill myself, or I wish I was dead, or I wish I hadn't been born, or my parents won't have to worry about me anymore. Things like that. They may be talking or writing about feelings of hopelessness or having no purpose. They may be giving away valued possessions, giving away their favorite, they may be giving away valued possessions. They may be drawing dark images pertaining to death and suicide. They may be talking or writing about feeling trapped or being in unbearable emotional pain. As Mr. Patterson said earlier, suicide is not about death. It's about pain and people not understanding how to get past that pain. They may be talking and writing about being a burden to others, maybe abusing substances or in chronic pain, always complaining or saying that they're in pain in some way, shape, or form. Might be acting anxious or agitated or reckless, doing things they wouldn't normally do. Experiencing extreme mood swings from one extreme to the other. Showing signs of a change in eating or sleeping habits. Withdrawing or isolating themselves from people or activities. Saying goodbye to people as if they wouldn't be seeing them again. Okay, so almost like a final farewell letter or goodbye note when you have no reason, you know that person's not going anywhere. I know we said mood swings earlier, but mood swings. Someone is normally down in the press, and now all of a sudden they're elated for no reason whatsoever. So you know someone's been depressed for a long time, they're always down in the dumps, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, nothing's changed, but they seem overly happy. When something like that happens, a lot of times it's because the person that has been thought of thinking about suicide and depressed, now all of a sudden they thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. And when that happens, that's sometimes when you see that person is now overly elated because that weight has been lifted because they made the decision to possibly take their own life. Okay, here are some symptoms of someone who has maybe thoughts of suicide, what the person is actually feeling, okay? Maybe feeling isolation or sadness, feeling that emotional pain that we were talking about earlier, up and down mood swings, feeling hopeless, feeling worthless, feeling helpless, the feeling of depression or feeling depressed, like we discussed earlier. And as I just mentioned, a feeling of joy or relief once the decision is made to go through with the suicide attempt.
Prevention, what you can do. So as we talked about earlier, make sure that if you hear or see a friend of yours or someone that you know displaying any of the signs or the symptoms that we talked about today, treat your friend's problem seriously, express your concern and support. Don't judge your friend, don't argue with them, don't try and convince them of anything, and for sure, don't promise to keep what they've shared with you a secret. Please don't do that. It's really important to reach out to an adult and let them know at that point. Listen well until you can get assistance. And earlier I mentioned an adult. Talk to your parent. Let someone know at the school, your counselor, perhaps a staff member. And if you think the threat is immediate or imminent, don't leave your friend alone. And if you're not with your friend and the threat seems immediate to you, you can call 911, or you can encourage your parents to call 911 on your friend's behalf. The important thing is take action and get help. As I noted, where you can go for help, all kinds of adults, all kinds of people in your life, both at home and in school. And there's also, at the bottom of this slide, a couple of really good resources that if you don't feel comfortable or confident reaching out to someone in your life, you can call these hotlines, the Maryland Crisis Hotline at that number below. You can also call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, Lifeline they call it. Or you can text the word above to 741741. Take note of these numbers. Use them if the need arises.
The Suicide Prevention Reference Card. This is a card that normally we have in our offices and are able to give out to you. But since we are virtual, we wanted to provide you with a card. Print off if you'd like, so that way you have it. Take a picture of it with your cell phone, screenshot it, whatever makes it easiest for you to have. I always suggest if you have a cell phone, keep it on your cell phone. It has all the warning signs, which I'm not going to read through them again because we've gone through so many different warning signs. But I do want to repeat what to do. Treat your friend's problem seriously. If a friend starts texting you late at night, because I know how that goes, you start saying things, they may say, hey, I hate my life, I hate myself, I want to die, no one would miss me. Those are things to take serious. And keep texting your friend, but at that time, you need to make sure you let an adult know. If your parents are asleep, they will not get upset if you wake them up to let them know that you're concerned about a friend's well-being, so that way the adult can help you contact the local authority, 911 if you need to. But please make sure you do that. Do not go to bed knowing that your friend has said those things to you, because you would never let yourself forget it and forgive yourself if something happens to that friend. So make sure you go get the necessary help that is needed. Right there, it says where to go for help. The numbers are listed again, as Mr. Patterson has already said. 741-741 is very easy. And if you look at your phone right now, it actually goes in order going up. It goes 741-741. It's the left side of your keypad. And now we'd like to ask you to join us for an online session of question and answer. For parents, we're having one Wednesday, February 24th at 3 o'clock. If you have any questions, we're here for you. Also, students, we're going to do the same thing for you on Thursday, February 25th at 10:30. That's during your flex time that's connected to your lunch. So that way we have time there. And if you have any concerns that you're worried about, make sure you reach out to us.
Mr. Marchioni and Ms. Truesdale, real quickly, how can parents and students join these online sessions?
We're going to be sending out a Zoom invite. For the one for parents, some parents have been having some issues with getting logged into a Zoom session. So we're going to, even though it's only for parents, we're going to send the invite to parents and students and make it very clear in the email that it's going to both, but it's strictly for parents to join. And that'll be at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. And no students will be in class because it's 3 o'clock and it's on an asynchronous day anyway. And then we'll be sending a Zoom link to parents and students as well for Thursday, but that's going to be just for students. And it'll be myself, you, and Ms. Truesdale.
Thanks, Mr. Marchioni.
And just to make it clear for everyone, these are question and answer. We're not presenting anything at that time. It's for you to come in and just be able to ask any questions, or if you have some concerns and just need to get a little extra help, we are here for you.